The hollow house had stood empty for decades, perched like a forgotten sentinel on the edge of town. Its paint peeled like dead skin, windows stared out like hollow eyes, and the wooden porch sagged under years of neglect. No one dared cross the rusted iron gate that groaned whenever the wind pushed through. Evelyn was never one to believe in ghost stories. When the townsfolk spoke of strange lights flickering inside the hollow house at night, or eerie music wafting on the breeze, she smiled politely and shook her head. But tonight, something pulled her there. A whisper on the wind she couldn't ignore. She approached slowly, the crunch of dry leaves beneath her boots the only sound breaking the stillness. The moon hung low, casting a silvery glow over the twisted branches that reached out like claws. The front door, cracked and weathered, creaked open as if inviting her in. Inside, the air was thick with dust and memories. Shadows danced along the walls, shifting with the flicker of her flashlight. The floorboards moaned beneath her steps. Somewhere in the distance, a piano played a single haunting note, echoing through the hollow rooms. Evelyn's breath caught. She wasn't alone. Evelyn hesitated just inside the doorway. The cold inside was unexpected, an unnatural chill that seeped into her bones. She pulled her jacket tighter and stepped forward, flashlight beam trembling over faded wallpaper peeling like dead leaves. The piano note repeated, soft, hesitant, almost pleading, then faded into silence. Her eyes caught a glint across the room, a cracked mirror framed in warped wood. As she approached, the glass seemed to ripple, distorting her reflection. For a brief moment, she thought she saw a pale face behind her, eyes wide with fear. She spun around, but the room was empty. Her heart thudded painfully against her ribs. There was a slow, deliberate creak from the floor above. Evelyn's breath hitched. The house groaned as if settling or watching. The whisper returned, barely audible at first, like the rustling of silk or dry leaves brushing the floor. It whispered her name, Eve Lynn. She swallowed hard and took the first step toward the staircase. The air grew heavier, the shadows deeper. Every instinct screamed at her to leave, but some strange, terrible curiosity held her there. The wooden steps moaned underfoot, each creak a fragile crack in the night silence. At the top, a narrow hallway stretched into darkness. Doors lined both sides, their paint chipped and faded, locked away secrets behind each. A faint glow seeped from beneath the door at the end. Evelyn moved closer, heart pounding. The whisper became a song, soft and sorrowful, pulling her forward. With trembling hands, she reached for the doorknob. The door creaked open, revealing a room bathed in an otherworldly blue light. It wasn't moonlight. It was colder, thinner, like light from somewhere between worlds. In the center stood an old rocking chair, gently swaying as if pushed by unseen hands. On the floor, scattered like fallen leaves, lay faded photographs. Evelyn knelt, brushing the dust away to reveal faces. Children, a woman with hollow eyes, a man whose smile seemed forced and brittle. Names were scribbled on the backs, but most were illegible. The song in the air grew louder, more urgent, weaving through the room like a fragile thread of sound. Evelyn's eyes drifted to the far corner, where a faint shimmer pulsed. She blinked and saw a figure. A little girl, no older than 7, stood with her back to Evelyn, her small shoulders trembling. The girl's dress was old-fashioned, stained and torn. Her hair hung in tangled curls, catching the strange light. "Are you lost?" Evelyn whispered. The girl turned slowly, revealing eyes as dark and deep as the void. She smiled, a sad, knowing smile, and whispered back, "I'm waiting." The room suddenly chilled further, frost creeping along the window panes. The rocking chair stopped its gentle motion. Evelyn's flashlight flickered and died. In the darkness, the whispers became voices, soft, overlapping, urgent. They spoke of sorrow, of betrayal, of promises broken and souls trapped within the hollow house. A cold hand brushed Evelyn's cheek. She gasped, heart racing, and reached out, but found only empty air. "Don't forget us," the voices murmured, growing faint. The blue light faded, the girl vanished. Evelyn scrambled to relight her flashlight, hands shaking. The beam flickered weakly, but it was enough to show the room empty. No sign of the girl or the glowing light. Yet the heavy silence felt suffocating, thick with things unsaid. She pocketed the photographs, deciding they might hold clues. Stepping back into the hallway, the air grew warmer, the oppressive chill lifting slightly but replaced by an unsettling stillness. The walls seemed to breathe, the faded wallpaper curling like old wounds. At the far end, the front door was now firmly shut, the rusty latch clicking into place as if the house was sealing itself. Evelyn's gaze fell on a door she hadn't noticed before, small, half-hidden behind a torn curtain. She tried the knob. Locked. Curiosity urged her onward. She moved to the stairs leading down, a narrow spiral staircase descending into darkness. A faint light flickered below, casting long shadows that danced and twisted like living things. She descended slowly, each step echoing, until she reached a basement cluttered with forgotten relics, dusty furniture, shattered glass, broken toys, and an old journal resting atop a cracked wooden crate. Evelyn picked it up carefully. The leather cover was brittle, pages yellowed and curling. She flipped to the first entry. May 12, 1923. The house watches us. We cannot leave. Every night the whispers grow louder. The children are restless. The air tastes of sorrow and secrets. I fear the hollow house is alive and hungry. A shiver ran down Evelyn's spine. She turned page after page, reading desperate entries from a woman named Clara, a mother trapped in the house with her children, trying to protect them from something lurking in the shadows. The last entry was smeared with dark stains, the handwriting frantic and barely legible. They come in the night. They take the children. The house demands its due. If you find this, beware the hollow house. It never forgets. It never forgives. A sudden creak behind Evelyn made her whirl around. The basement door was closed, though she was certain she had left it open. The whispers returned, soft, beckoning, warning. Evelyn realized with a sinking heart, the hollow house had not finished with her yet. Evelyn's breath hitched as the whispers circled her, threading through the basement like ghostly fingers. The air felt heavy, thick with sorrow and something darker, something hungry. She pressed the journal close to her chest and stepped toward the basement door, but it remained stubbornly shut. Panic crept in, her fingers trembling as she pulled at the handle again and again. A cold draft whispered through the room, carrying with it the faint scent of wilted flowers and something metallic, like old blood. From the shadows, a faint shape began to materialize. A figure draped in tattered cloth, face obscured but glowing eyes fixed on her. It floated forward, silent and inevitable. Evelyn backed away, heart pounding wildly, but the figure blocked her only path. The whispers rose into a chorus, voices overlapping in a mournful song of loss and warning. Stay with us," they urged. Her mind raced. The journal, the photos, the voices. They all told a story of souls trapped, bound to the house by pain and broken promises. She remembered Clara's final desperate plea. "Beware the hollow house. It never forgets. It never forgives." Summoning every ounce of courage, Evelyn clutched the journal and spoke aloud, voice steady despite the fear. "I'm not here to stay. I'm here to set you free." The figure hesitated, eyes flickering with something like hope. "Tell me what I must do," Evelyn whispered. A sudden silence fell. Then, a faint voice, soft, childlike, spoke from the darkness. "Find the locket. Beneath the oak. Break the chain." Evelyn knew the old oak tree outside was the only ancient thing left standing near the house, its gnarled branches twisting like the hands of time. With renewed purpose, she turned toward the stairs, the house groaning as if protesting. The shadows clung tighter, but she didn't look back. Outside, the night was thick with mist, the oak looming like a sentinel watching over forgotten secrets. Evelyn dropped to her knees at the base of the tree, fingers digging through cold earth until they brushed something hard. A tarnished silver locket, its delicate chain wrapped tight, almost alive. Her hands shook as she unclasped it. The moment the chain snapped, a piercing cry split the night, a sound filled with both anguish and relief. The mist began to lift. Inside the hollow house, a light flickered, then faded. The whispers ceased. Evelyn rose, breathless but free. The hollow house stood silent once more. Evelyn stood beneath the oak, heart pounding in the stillness. The locket felt heavy in her palm, as if it carried the weight of all the trapped souls within the hollow house. Behind her, the house loomed silent and empty, its shadows no longer reaching out. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then, a soft breeze stirred the leaves above, carrying with it a faint melody. The same sorrowful song that had haunted the house for decades, now fading like a distant memory. Evelyn smiled softly, a bittersweet relief washing over her. But as she turned to leave, her eyes caught something glinting in the moonlight, half buried beneath the roots of the tree. A small, twisted key. Her fingers closed around it instinctively. The house had never truly forgotten. And somewhere deep inside, Evelyn knew the story was far from over. Evelyn's fingers tightened around the cold key, its metal surface rough and strangely warm to the touch. The wind whispered through the branches, carrying a faint, haunting melody that tugged at the edges of her mind. She glanced back at the hollow house, now shrouded in silence, its dark windows like empty eyes watching her every move. Curiosity battled caution in her chest. What did this key unlock? Was it another prison within the house, or perhaps a final secret buried long ago? Her gaze drifted to the ancient oak's gnarled roots, and with trembling hands, she began to dig again. The earth gave way to reveal a small, rusted lockbox, its surface etched with faded symbols, twisting vines, weeping faces, and something that looked almost like a crying eye. The lockbox seemed to pulse faintly under her touch, as if alive with sorrow. She slid the key into the lock. It turned with a soft click, releasing a quiet sigh that echoed in the night air. Inside the box lay a bundle of yellowed letters, tied with a black ribbon. Evelyn untied them carefully, unfolding the brittle pages one by one. The letters were from Clara, the mother from the journal, written in desperation and hope. They spoke of a hidden room beneath the house, a place where the family's darkest secrets were buried and where the source of the hollow house's curse might be found. A final letter, and signed, was different, written in a shaky hand that wasn't Clara's. If you read this, know that you are not alone. The house feeds on grief, but it fears truth. Find the hidden room, end the silence, break the cycle. Evelyn's pulse quickened. The mystery deepened. Somewhere, deep beneath the hollow house, the walls waited, and the whispers began again. Evelyn felt the weight of the letters settle heavy in her hands, the ribbon slipping loose as her fingers trembled. She glanced once more at the hollow house looming behind the ancient oak, its silhouette jagged against the moonlit sky. The whispered song had faded, but the silence it left behind was far from peaceful. Guided by the clues in Clara's letters, Evelyn searched for the entrance to the hidden room. The last letter mentioned a loose floorboard beneath the main parlor, a place she hadn't yet explored. She retraced her steps to the front of the house. Inside, the parlor was a frozen moment in time. Cracked leather armchairs, a dusty fireplace, and a grand piano, silent but ominous in the moonlight. Evelyn's flashlight beam landed on a square of wood near the hearth, edges slightly raised. Kneeling, she pressed down. Nothing at first. Then, with a soft creak, the board shifted, revealing a narrow stairwell plunging into darkness. The air rising from below was thick and cold, carrying a scent of earth and something metallic. She took a deep breath and descended, each step echoing like a drumbeat in the suffocating blackness. At the bottom, a heavy wooden door barred the way, ancient iron hinges creaking as she pushed it open. Inside was a small chamber, walls lined with old photographs, handwritten notes, and strange symbols carved into the stone. In the center, a broken music box lay shattered, its pieces scattered like the broken hopes of those trapped within the hollow house. Suddenly, the air shifted, the shadows moved, and the whispers grew into a chorus, voices both desperate and pleading. Set us free. End the silence. Break the cycle. Evelyn stepped forward, clutching Clara's letters. The house's heart beat around her, alive with sorrow and secrets. She knew what she had to do. Evelyn knelt before the shattered music box, its twisted gears silent yet heavy with meaning. The carved symbols on the walls seemed to pulse faintly, glowing like veins of ancient sorrow. She unfolded Clara's final letter again, reading aloud the words that felt like a prayer. In the silence of the night, when shadows fall, speak the names of those held by the hollow's thrall. Light the flame of memory, break the chains that bind, and free the lost souls trapped in time. Taking a deep breath, Evelyn closed her eyes and began to whisper the names she'd found. Children, parents, strangers, each name a thread pulling at the darkness. Around her, the shadows wavered and thickened, swirling into shapes faint and fleeting. A cold breeze brushed her skin as if the house itself exhaled. She found a candle among the debris, struck a match, and lit the wick. The small flame flickered defiantly against the choking blackness. As the light grew, the voices rose, soft, mournful, yet hopeful. The broken music box pieces began to tremble, slowly rearranging themselves as if guided by unseen hands. Evelyn's heart hammered in her chest as the room filled with a gentle melody, the same haunting song that had drawn her here. A sudden warmth spread through the chamber, and the carved symbols glowed brighter, illuminating faces in the photographs. Smiling, free at last. The whispers softened into silence, replaced by a peaceful stillness. Evelyn rose, the weight in the air lifting like a fog. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the horizon. The hollow house stood quiet, its curse broken. But as she stepped into the morning, a faint whisper brushed her ear. "Thank you, but remember, the hollow never truly forgets." Evelyn walked away from the hollow house as the sun rose, its pale light washing over the peeling paint and shattered windows. The air felt lighter now, as if the house had finally exhaled decades of sorrow. She glanced back once, half expecting to see a shadow or a flicker of movement. But the house was still, quiet, almost peaceful. Yet deep inside her, a strange unease settled. The locket she had found lay warm in her pocket, its weight a quiet reminder that some things never truly leave us. At night, when the wind whispered through the trees, she sometimes heard the faintest echo of that haunting melody, a soft lullaby carried on the breeze. And sometimes, just sometimes, a whisper would brush her ear, so soft she wasn't sure if it was real or a dream. Remember, the hollow never truly forgets. With a shiver and a smile, Evelyn pulled her jacket tighter and walked on, the dawn welcoming her into a new day. Weeks had passed since Evelyn left the hollow house behind, yet the memories clung to her like shadows in the corners of her mind. At night, she often found herself staring out her bedroom window, the moonlight casting long fingers over the quiet town. One evening, as she sat by the window, a soft tapping sound came from her front door. Heart skipping, she opened it to find a small package resting on the porch. No sender's name, just a single black ribbon tied around it. Inside was the broken music box's key, cold and familiar. Attached was a note, written in the same shaky handwriting from Clara's letters. The story is never truly over. Some doors, once opened, stay ajar. A chill ran down Evelyn's spine. From the darkness behind her, the whisper came again. Remember, the hollow never truly forgets. The night closed in around her, thick with quiet secrets waiting to be uncovered. Evelyn clutched the key tightly, its cold weight grounding her as the note's words echoed in her mind. The house may have fallen silent, but its grip was far from broken. That night, sleep was elusive. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision, and the faint melody of the music box drifted through her room, soft and haunting. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. Unable to resist, Evelyn rose and followed the sound down the hallway to her study, where a dusty old chest sat forgotten in the corner, something she'd never remembered seeing before. Her hands shook as she inserted the key into the lock. The chest creaked open, revealing letters and objects long lost to time, keepsakes from the Hollow House's past. A faded locket, a cracked photograph, a child's toy, and a diary bound in worn leather. The diary's pages whispered secrets of a family trapped between worlds, of love and loss, and a darkness that refused to be forgotten. Evelyn realized the Hollow House's story was still being written, and that some doors, once opened, never fully close. Outside, the wind carried the faintest whisper, as if the house itself was watching, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. Evelyn spent the following days poring over the diary and letters, uncovering stories of love, regret, and unfinished business that bound the Hollow House's spirits. She realized the house wasn't just a prison. It was a place where memories lingered, where sorrow could chain souls to a place long after death. Determined to end the cycle, she gathered the keepsakes and climbed once more to the ancient oak outside the Hollow House. There, beneath its twisted branches, she laid the objects in a circle and spoke a quiet prayer for peace and release. The wind stirred, gentle and warm. For the first time in decades, the house seemed to sigh, its shadows softening beneath the dawn. Evelyn knew she had done what she could. The spirits were free, or as free as they would ever be. Weeks passed. The Hollow House stood silent, no longer a beacon for restless souls, but a quiet monument to those who had once called it home. Evelyn felt a strange calm settle within her. The weight of the house's sorrow had lifted, replaced by a gentle peace. One evening, as she sat watching the sunset, a soft breeze carried the faintest melody. The music box's lullaby, now a whisper of comfort rather than warning. She smiled, eyes closing as sleep claimed her gently. And in the distance, the Hollow House waited, no longer hungry, no longer angry, but simply watching.